He thought the alien commander was Heartless, until she closed the door behind him. Lieutenant Commander Alex Rourke stood in silence as the shuttle drifted toward the alien flagship. Outside, the stars looked sharp and endless, cold points of light cutting through the black. He adjusted his dark green Terran uniform, straightened the silver insignia on his chest, and tried not to show the tension in his jaw. Humanity had only joined the Galactic Alliance 3 years ago, and now he was the first human assigned to an alien warship. He knew what that meant. Eyes on him, every move judged, every mistake magnified. The ship loomed ahead, vast and alive. The RNV Resolute wasn't built like any human vessel. Its hull looked like muscle under glass, shifting faintly with every pulse of energy that ran through it. The Alliance called it a living ship, half metal, half organism. Alex called it unsettling. The docking sequence was wordless. A hiss of pressure, a vibration through the floor, and then a door sliding open with an almost organic sigh. He stepped through into a corridor glowing with soft blue light. The air smelled faintly of ozone and something floral, though no plants were visible. Alien crew moved past, scaled, feathered, luminous. Some looked at him out of the corners of their eyes, whispering in languages he couldn't understand. He felt like an exhibit in a museum labeled Primitive Species, under observation. A tall officer with glassy skin and narrow vertical pupils approached him. "Lieutenant Commander Rourke," the being said, voice deep and calm. "Commander Kaya Saren will see you now." Alex nodded. "Lead the way." They walked through corridors that curved and shimmered like inside a seashell. Symbols and light patterns moved along the walls. "Living code," the guide explained. The human tried to hide his fascination and his unease. When they reached the bridge doors, the officer stopped. "A word of advice," the alien said softly. "Commander Saren values precision. She does not forgive carelessness." "Neither do I," Alex answered. The doors opened, revealing a circular command deck. Screens floated in the air, data flowing in liquid streams. Dozens of alien officers worked in silence, each motion perfectly measured. And at the center stood Commander Kaya Saren. Her skin was bronze orange under the cool lights, smooth as polished stone. Her long silver hair was tied in a simple band at her neck, and her uniform was a dark gray bodysuit with faint light tracing her rank lines. She looked up as he entered, her violet eyes assessing him in one calm sweep. "Lieutenant Commander Rourke," she said. Her voice was low, even, and distant. "Welcome aboard the Resolute. You will serve as liaison between Human Command and the 7th Fleet." "Yes, Commander. I'm honored to serve." "Honor isn't relevant," she replied. "Efficiency is. You were assigned, not chosen. Follow regulations and you'll do fine." Alex stood straight, though the words hit like cold water. "Understood." Saren turned away, eyes on the floating display. "The Resolute maintains order across 9 systems and has survived 6 direct engagements with the Drakon Empire. This is not a diplomatic cruise. Your presence changes nothing." "I'll adapt," he said quietly. That earned him the faintest flicker of expression, something like surprise before it vanished. "See that you do. You begin duty rotation at 0600. Dismissed." He saluted sharply, then turned to follow his escort out. He could feel her gaze on his back until the doors closed. In the corridor, the alien officer gave a clicking sound that might have been amusement. That went better than most. "Better?" Alex asked dryly. "The last liaison cried." Alex exhaled slowly, half a laugh, half a sigh. "Good to know." When he reached his quarters, he set his small bag on the metal bench and sat down. The walls pulsed faintly with the ship's heartbeat. He stared at his reflection in the dark glass. One man among a crew of hundreds of aliens, a single representative of a young species trying to prove itself. He whispered to the empty room, "Let's see if humans really belong up here." Outside, through the small viewport, the stars stretched forever. And somewhere beyond them, unseen but waiting, something moved. Something that would test him and this commander in ways neither could imagine. The heartbeat of the ship seemed to quicken, as if it too knew that peace never lasted long. The next 2 weeks aboard the Resolute felt like living inside a clock, each second measured, precise, and merciless. The crew moved like parts of a living machine, every action synchronized to the rhythm of Commander Kaya Saren's voice. Orders came crisp and cold. Mistakes did not exist here, only inefficiencies. Lieutenant Commander Alex Rourke learned quickly. His task as human liaison was simple on paper: bridge Terran protocols with the Alliance command systems. In reality, it meant endless translation between languages, cultures, and temperaments. The Keleth engineers didn't trust human safety codes. The crystalline Varen officers thought human reflexes were too slow. And Commander Saren? She simply watched. Silent. Calculating. When she did speak to him, it was always in that same tone. Polite, detached, distant. "Report, Lieutenant Commander." "Yes, Commander." "Adjust your algorithm for energy bleed. You're 2% off regulation." "Yes, Commander." It was efficient. It was unbearable. Sometimes when Alex caught her reflection in the glass panels, he thought she looked carved from fire and frost at once. Her movements were flawless, but her eyes seemed burdened by something deep, a sorrow too disciplined to surface. At meals, Alex sat with Lieutenant Mira Hale, the only other human aboard. She was a scientist in the biology division, bright and talkative, a small reminder of home. "She's not cruel," Mira told him once, lowering her voice. "Just damaged. The war took everything from her." "Her homeworld?" Mira nodded. "The Solarian system. Draconians wiped it clean. She was a child when she escaped." Alex stared into his untouched meal. "And now she commands their biggest ship. She earned it, but she never really came back from that war." After that conversation, Alex started noticing things. How Saren would linger a moment too long on sensor reports about Draconian activity. How her expression hardened whenever that name appeared on a tactical feed. And how, no matter how calm she looked, her fingers sometimes trembled for a fraction of a second before she folded them behind her back again. Still, she gave him no warmth, no trust, only orders. Until one quiet shift changed everything. It was 0200 ship time, the hour when corridors went dim and crew rotations thinned. Alex was in the communications bay reviewing Terran encryption codes when his comlink crackled. "Lieutenant Commander Rourke," came Saren's voice, low, even softer than usual. "Report to maintenance deck Theta. Alone." He frowned. "May I ask the reason, Commander?" A pause. "You may not." Then the line went dead. He hesitated only a moment. Protocol said you don't keep a commander waiting, especially one like her. He left the bay, footsteps echoing as he moved deeper into the ship's underbelly. The halls here felt different, colder, quieter, almost forgotten. The lights flickered in slow pulses like breathing. When he reached maintenance deck Theta, the door slid open with a low hiss. Inside, the space was dimly lit by red emergency panels. Rows of dormant drones hung from the ceiling like metal insects. "Commander Saren?" he called. "Close the door, Lieutenant Commander." Her voice came from the shadows near the far wall. As the door sealed, the hum of the ship seemed to fade. Saren stepped into the thin light. She wasn't wearing her regulation jacket, just the underlayer of her command suit, matte gray with faint lines of energy tracing her spine. Her silver hair shimmered faintly, loose for once. Alex straightened. "Is there a systems issue, Commander?" "No," she said, stepping closer. Her tone wasn't cold now. It was searching. "There's a matter I cannot put on record." He swallowed. "Understood." She studied him for a long moment. "Tell me, human, why are your people here?" The question startled him. "Because we want to contribute to the Alliance, to prove ourselves." Her violet eyes narrowed slightly. "Prove. That word again. You fight, you bleed, you die. And still you crave approval." He held her gaze. Maybe because every species we meet expects us to fail. Something flickered in her expression. Respect, maybe. Or recognition. "Good," she said finally. "Hold on to that defiance. You'll need it." Before he could respond, an alarm pierced the silence. A harsh, shrieking tone that painted the air in red. "Bridge to Commander Saren," came the voice through her comm. "Multiple draconian signatures detected. Closing fast." Saren's face changed instantly. The softness vanished, replaced by steel. "I'm on my way." She turned to him, eyes bright with controlled fire. "Lieutenant Commander Rourke, you're with me?" "Yes, Commander." As they sprinted down the corridor toward the bridge, the red lights strobed faster, painting her silver hair like liquid flame. For the first time, Alex realized that beneath all that cold command and discipline, there was something else. Something human. And something dangerous. The alarm screamed across the Resolute, washing the corridors in blood-red light. Crew members ran past Lieutenant Commander Alex Rourke, their boots thudding in rhythm with the ship's beating core. Through the viewports, the cold void burned. 3 draconian warships had emerged from subspace, their jagged hulls glinting like serrated knives against the stars. Alex followed Commander Kaya Saren onto the bridge. The air was electric. Holograms flickered, officers shouted readings, and the ship's living hull pulsed faster with stress. Saren strode to the command chair, calm amid chaos. Her voice cut through the noise like a blade. "Shields at full. Tactical lock targets. Communications, try hailing them." "Negative response, Commander," came the reply. "They're jamming our signal." The main screen filled with the enemy's formation. The classic draconian triangle. 2 hunters driving the prey toward the apex ship. A trap. Alex had seen this pattern in simulations. It was efficient, merciless, and rarely survived. "Recommend evasive drift 40-degree lateral," he said. "We can slide under their convergence line." Saren's violet eyes stayed on the tactical map. "No, direct intercept course. Full impulse." The crew froze. Even the Andaran first officer, Commander Leth, turned his pale gaze toward her. "Ma'am, that puts us straight in their firing path." "I know." Her tone was flat steel. "They expect us to run. We're not giving them what they want." Alex wanted to argue, but something in her voice stopped him. She wasn't reckless. She was haunted. This wasn't strategy. This was personal. The deck shuddered as the Resolute surged forward. The lead draconian ship filled the screen, its energy ports glowing crimson. "Brace!" Leth shouted. The first volley struck. The impact threw Alex against his console. Sparks erupted overhead. Alarms wailed. "Shields at 64%, cried the tactical officer. "Forward sensors offline." Saren didn't flinch. "Return fire. Quantum torpedoes. Target propulsion." The Resolute answered with light. A volley of blue-white energy that streaked across the void and slammed into the enemy's engines. One draconian hunter veered off, smoke trailing from its aft section. The bridge erupted in a brief cheer before another blast hit them broadside, silencing it. Alex grabbed the railing, fighting to stay upright. "That was coordinated. They're predicting our vectors." "Of course they are," Saren murmured. "Draconians learn fast." He turned to her, breathless. "Then you're giving them exactly what they expect." Her head snapped toward him, eyes flashing. "And what do you suggest, human?" He hesitated only a second. "Let me handle tactical support. I know their predictive algorithms. We use them in Terran war games." The bridge fell silent. All eyes turned to the human liaison who wasn't supposed to speak unless spoken to. Saren studied him, unreadable. Then, after a long beat, she said, "Do it." Alex slid into the secondary console, fingers flying over alien symbols. He rerouted shield harmonics, mimicking damage to make them appear weaker than they were. On the tactical grid, the enemy ships adjusted formation exactly as he hoped. "Now," he shouted. Saren gave a sharp nod. "Helm, pitch 43 degrees, fire torpedoes, pattern delta." The Resolute spun like a living blade, cutting across the void. The torpedoes hit dead center on the pursuing hunter, tearing it apart in a burst of molten fire. The bridge shook with another impact. But the crew cheered this time, not from arrogance, but from survival. "Nice shot," Alex muttered. Saren didn't look at him, but he caught the corner of her mouth twitch. Acceptable. The victory was brief. Sensors screamed again, another formation emerging from subspace. 3 more signatures, bigger, heavier. 6 ships now, Leth said grimly. "They must have been shadowing us." Saren's expression hardened. "So they finally found me." Alex turned to her. "What do you mean, found you?" Before she could answer, the lights flickered. and a voice crackled over the comms. Cold, reptilian, and unmistakably draconian. Commander Kaya Saren, the last child of Solaris. We have waited a long time for you. Every muscle in her body went still. Around them, the bridge fell silent. The draconian voice echoed through the air like a curse. They're targeting you, Alex realized. Her jaw tightened. Then we make them regret it. She rose from her chair, eyes like molten violet fire. Lieutenant Commander Rourke with me. We're taking the strike team to secondary engineering. I want every remaining crew member out of Deck 12 before they breach it. Yes, Commander, he said, heart pounding. As they left the bridge, the ship trembled again. The corridors glowed with emergency light, casting their shadows long and broken. Alex glanced at her as they ran. You knew they'd come for you. I suspected, she said. The Draconians don't forget unfinished experiments. He stared at her, shocked. Experiments? But she didn't answer. Only whispered, almost to herself. They didn't just destroy my world. They built something inside me they wanted back. Outside the viewport, space erupted in fire as the Resolute dove once more into battle, two figures running toward the heart of danger. The last human and the last Solarian, bound by war and secrets neither yet understood. The lower decks of the Resolute were chaos. Smoke poured from ruptured conduits, alarms pulsed like a heartbeat, and the air tasted metallic and hot. Commander Kaya Saren and Lieutenant Commander Alex Rourke ran through narrow corridors lit by emergency red lights that flickered like fading stars. The ship was alive, but it was bleeding. Section 12, engineering subdecks. That was where the draconian plasma strike had hit hardest. As they reached the bulkhead, a team of maintenance drones scurried by, their optical sensors dimming one by one as the power grid failed. Alex grabbed a wall panel and forced it open. The readings were ugly. Oxygen leak, collapsing pressure, and 4 crew members trapped beyond the sealed doors. They're pinned in there, he said, panting. Life support's collapsing. Kaya's violet eyes darted over the data. Cutting through would vent the entire section into space. They'll die if we wait. She met his gaze, sharp, unblinking. And if we open it, so will we. For a second, the commander's mask cracked. He saw the same look she'd had on the bridge, a quiet war between reason and humanity. Then, wordlessly, she activated her wrist console. Override safety locks. We'll stabilize pressure manually. Manual stabilization? Alex frowned. That's suicide. Only if we fail. The doors hissed open, releasing a wave of acrid smoke. Heat hit like a wall. Inside, the compartment was half collapsed. Sparks rained from a torn plasma conduit, and 4 figures crouched behind debris. One of them, Lieutenant Mira Hale, was clutching her side, pale and trembling. Commander! Hale gasped when she saw them. We've got injured. 1 Keleth engineer's down and another's trapped under the bulkhead. Alex and Kaya moved fast. The Keleth were tall, thin beings whose translucent skin glowed faintly when alive. One of them lay motionless, light fading to dull gray. The other was pinned under twisted metal, still breathing shallowly. Kaya crouched beside the wreckage. We can't lift it without cutting power to the auxiliary coils. That'll drop gravity and atmosphere. Alex wiped sweat from his brow. Then we improvise. He tore off his jacket and wrapped it around his hands, grabbing the burning metal. The heat bit through the fabric immediately, but he gritted his teeth and pushed. On 3. Kaya's strength surprised him. Despite her slender frame, she lifted with the precision of someone who had done this 100 times before. Together they raised the bulkhead just enough for Hale to pull the trapped Keleth free. The alien coughed weakly, bioluminescence flickering back to life. As soon as the bulkhead slammed down again, Kaya stumbled. Her arm had been scorched where molten metal grazed her uniform. Alex reached for her instinctively. You're hurt, she pulled away. I'm functional. Functional isn't fine. Neither is sentiment, she snapped, but her voice lacked its usual bite. Alex glanced around the ruined chamber. We need to patch the breach before this section collapses. Kaya was already moving, scanning the cracked wall where thin streams of vapor hissed into the vacuum beyond. We'll use the reactor shield plating. It's dense enough to seal the tear. Manual patch again? Yes, and this time I'll do it. He stepped in front of her. No. You've done enough heroics for one day. Her eyes flashed. You forget your place, Lieutenant Commander. And you forget you're not invincible, he shot back. You can't save your crew if you die trying." The words hit harder than he intended. Her face hardened, but something inside her faltered. For the first time since he'd met her, she looked uncertain. "I lost them once," she whispered. "My world, my people. I won't lose anyone again," Alex hesitated. The rage in her voice wasn't command, it was pain. The kind that never healed. He took a slow breath. "Then let me help you keep that promise." They worked side by side, welding the shield plates into place as the hull groaned under pressure. Every second was a battle against the vacuum pulling at their skin. Sparks burned their gloves. Oxygen alarms blared and the ship shuddered violently. But neither stopped. When the final plate sealed, the hiss of leaking air faded to silence. Kaya slumped against the wall, breathing hard. Alex dropped beside her. "Pressure's stable. For now." She looked at him, really looked at him. Sweat, soot, and human stubbornness. "You shouldn't have stayed. Neither should you." For a moment, the chaos faded. They sat there, two survivors in the heart of a dying ship. The red lights softened, casting their faces in a dim glow. Then her comm unit crackled to life. "Commander Saren, bridge reporting. Draconian ships disengaging. But we're tracking energy signatures near the debris field. They might be boarding." Kaya straightened instantly, all softness gone. "Understood. Prepare internal defenses. We're on our way." She turned to him. "Come on, Rourke. If they're coming for me, they'll have to go through you first." He managed a tight grin. "That's the plan." As they moved toward the lift, the ship's metal walls hummed low as though aware of the storm about to break within its veins. And somewhere deep in the shadows, unseen by either of them, a cold green light pulsed, an incoming draconian beacon locking onto its target. The hunt wasn't over. It had just come aboard. The Resolute drifted through black space like a wounded animal. Half its systems were gone, the once bright hull now dark and scarred. Deep within, Commander Kaya Saren and Lieutenant Commander Alex Rourke rode the trembling lift back toward the command levels, the hum of the ship faint and broken. "Deck 7, Kaya ordered, her tone clipped. "They'll try to breach near engineering access points. That's where the power grid is weakest." Alex checked his wrist scanner. "Internal sensors are jammed. They're using interference fields. Then they're inside already." The lift stopped before she finished the sentence. The lights flickered, then died. Silence. The kind of silence that hummed with danger. Alex's hand went automatically to his sidearm. Kaya's violet eyes glowed faintly in the dark. "Manual release," she whispered. Together, they forced the doors apart. The corridor beyond was unlit, just emergency strips glowing faint red along the floor. A shadow moved. Alex fired. The plasma bolt hit something metallic and a shriek answered it. Low, guttural, not human. Then the thing lunged from the dark. He saw scales, the flash of serrated armor, and burning green eyes. Draconian raiders, not ships now, soldiers. Boarding pods must have latched onto the outer hull while the battle raged. Kaya was faster than thought. She moved like a living weapon, ducking beneath the creature's strike and driving her blade, an alloy shortsword, into the joint between its shoulder plates. The alien roared and fell. Two more. Alex warned, firing again. The second creature dropped, hissing, but the third reached them, claws raking across Alex's arm. Pain flared white-hot. He fell back, gritting his teeth. Kaya caught the attacker mid-swing, spun, and drove her elbow into its throat. The crunch was sickening. The alien fell, twitching. For a long moment, only their breathing filled the silence. Alex winced, pressing a hand over his bleeding arm. "They came straight for us." Kaya nodded grimly. "They want me alive. Why?" She didn't answer immediately. Her face, half lit by the emergency glow, looked carved from stone. "Because I carry something they made." That sent a chill through him. Something they made? Genetic residue. The Draconians experimented on my people before they destroyed us. They called it Project Virith. Biological integration, trying to merge our adaptive DNA with their armor systems. My parents worked in the research labs. When the bombardment started, they smuggled me out before the final phase. "And you think they're still after that?" Her voice hardened. "They don't think, they want to finish what they started." Before Alex could reply, the ship's intercom hissed to life, garbled at first, then a voice slithering through the static. "Kaya Saren, surrender yourself. We have no interest in the others. You are property of the Virith line." Every word dripped with contempt. The sound made Alex's stomach twist. Kaya's jaw clenched. Property, she spat. They still think like slavers. He glanced at the flickering console on the wall. If they've breached, they'll head for the biocore chamber. That's where your genetic scans are stored. Then we go there, she said, drawing her weapon. They moved through the dying ship like ghosts, guided by the faint pulse of blue emergency lights. In some corridors, gravity fluctuated. Tools and fragments floated for a heartbeat before slamming back down. Smoke curled along the ceiling like clouds over a battlefield. As they neared the biocore, the hum of alien tech grew louder, a low vibration, out of sync with the ship's rhythm. The doors to the chamber were already open. Inside, the room glowed with green light. The Draconians had connected a splicer node, a portable scanner leaching data from the living walls. 3 of them stood around it, their armor steaming from the heat. Kaya didn't hesitate. She stepped forward, voice cold and sharp. "You don't belong here." The lead soldier turned, hissing through metallic fangs. "We come for what was ours." The template. "The last Vireth seed," Alex moved to flank her. "She's not your experiment." The Draconian raised his weapon, but Kaya was already moving. She vaulted onto a console, dropped behind him, and slashed his breathing tubes. Alex shot the second one before it could react. The third charged, claws spread wide, until Kaya triggered the ship's emergency containment field. A translucent barrier shimmered into place, trapping the creature mid-stride. It thrashed and roared, striking the barrier until its claws sparked. "You can't stop the order," it snarled. "They already know you live." Kaya's expression didn't change. "Then let them come." She pressed a command key and the field flared bright, turning the trapped soldier to ash. The splicer node beeped once before dying. Alex stared at her. "You didn't just kill the raiders. You burned the data too." "I had to." She wiped a smear of green blood from her cheek. "As long as it existed, they'd hunt me. Now there's nothing left for them to find except you." Her eyes met his, tired, defiant. "Yes, and that's why we need to finish this before more arrive." He looked at her arm, trembling slightly from strain. "You can't keep doing this alone." "I don't have a choice." "Yes, you do." He stepped closer, his voice steady. "You've got me now." For a moment, she said nothing. Then quietly, "That might be the most human thing anyone's ever said to me." Somewhere above, the hull groaned, a distant explosion echoing through the decks. Kaya looked up, eyes narrowing. "They're trying to destroy the ship's core. If it goes, everyone left aboard dies." "Then we stop them," Alex said. She nodded, and together they turned toward the rising sound of battle. The hum of engines growing weaker. The echo of war marching closer. In that moment, amid smoke, blood, and silence, the unspoken bond between them hardened into something real. Not just duty, not survival. A promise. If humanity had to prove itself to the stars, it would start right here, with one man, one alien, and a ship refusing to die. The Resolute was breaking apart. Hull fractures crawled along its spine like glowing scars, and the once mighty warship drifted helplessly through the void. But deep inside, in a command node still flickering with life, Commander Kaya Saren and Lieutenant Commander Alex Rourke were not done fighting. They reached the auxiliary command hub, a smaller, shielded control ring near the ship's reactor spine. The hum of failing generators filled the air, vibrating through the floor. Kaya touched a console, its surface pulsing faintly. "Power reserves at 11%. Structural integrity at 21. If we don't stop the Draconians now, they'll strip the ship down to its bones." Alex's eyes flicked to the display. "They're still anchored. 6 boarding pods latched across the hull." "Too many," Kaya muttered. "We can't fight them head-on." "Then we don't," Alex said, voice calm despite the chaos. "We outthink them." Kaya turned toward him, one brow lifting. "You have a plan?" He gave a short grin. "I always have a bad idea before a good one." Her lips almost twitched. Almost. "Proceed." Alex brought up the holographic schematic of the ship. "They want you alive, right? They'll come for the biocore chamber again. So we give it to them, just not the way they expect." Kaya studied the map, realization dawning. "A decoy, exactly. We'll reroute the ship's AI to project a false heat and biosignature in one of the lower decks. When they breach, we detonate the containment fuel cells." "That's risky," she said. He gave a small shrug. "Everything we've done so far qualifies as risky." Her silence was brief but approving. "I'll handle the power reroute. You configure the reactor's fuel sequence." For 10 minutes they worked in near darkness. Alex's hands moved fast over the alien interface, adapting what he barely understood into a makeshift trap. Sparks leapt from damaged circuits. Kaya moved like light, her burned arm trembling, but she didn't slow. Every keystroke was a promise they would not die as prey. The system's hum deepened. The trap was armed. Signals live, Alex said, wiping soot from his forehead. They'll pick it up any second. Almost on cue, the proximity alarms flared. Motion signatures, dozens, approaching from every vector. Kaya's eyes glimmered. They took the bait. The first explosion rocked the deck. The ship lurched violently, throwing Alex to the floor. He saw through the viewport a burst of light where one of the pods had breached, then another. The Draconians were cutting straight for the false signal. Phase 2, Kaya said, steady as steel. He keyed in the final sequence. The ship's AI hesitated, then responded in a trembling, almost human tone. Containment sequence armed. Warning, reactor stability compromised. Alex exhaled slowly. Now we pray your ship doesn't decide to explode with them. Kaya gave him a sidelong glance. Faith is not a recognized protocol, Lieutenant Commander. Neither is luck, he said, but it keeps us alive. The next moment came like thunder in space. The lower decks flashed, an expanding ring of white-blue fire that vaporized the remaining pods. The shockwave rolled through the hull. Kaya gripped a support beam. Alex grabbed her arm to steady her. When the light faded, the displays flickered, showing only debris. The enemy ships had been crippled, 2 adrift, 1 torn clean in half. Kaya exhaled, a sound halfway between relief and disbelief. You did it. We did it, Alex corrected. Though I might have just blown up half your ship doing it. She looked at him for a long moment, then said quietly, worth it. The brief calm was broken by the deep groan of the dying reactor. The AI's voice returned, distorted. Warning. Core destabilizing. Catastrophic breach imminent. Kaya's eyes widened. The explosion fractured the cooling grid. We need to get to the escape pods. They sprinted through the smoke-filled corridors. The floor tilted beneath them as gravity failed. Floating debris spun like ghosts of the crew they couldn't save. When they reached the pod bay, only 2 capsules remained intact. Kaya keyed the launch system. Get in. Alex shook his head. You first, that's an order. He held her gaze. You think I take those anymore? For a heartbeat, the commander and the human just stood there amid chaos and fire. Equals in defiance. Then she climbed in and he followed, sealing the hatch as the Resolute screamed around them. Through the small viewport, the once proud flagship began to break apart, fragments scattering across the void like dying stars. The pod launched, the acceleration slamming them back in their seats. Behind them, a blinding light consumed everything. Kaya's reflection shimmered in the glass, tired, haunted, but alive. They'll come again, she said softly. Then we'll be ready, Alex replied. For a long while, neither spoke. The stars slid by, silent witnesses to the end of a legend. And somewhere behind that silence, within the ashes of the Resolute, a faint pulse still flickered. A signal not from the Alliance or the Draconians, but something older, something searching. Kaya looked down at the blinking light on her console. Her blood ran cold. That frequency, she whispered. It's Solarian. Alex leaned forward. You mean? Her eyes widened, glowing violet against the dark. I wasn't the last. The pod drifted on, alone in the vastness as the stars pulsed once, like eyes opening. The silence that followed the Resolute's destruction felt endless. The small escape pod drifted through the debris field, surrounded by the glittering remains of a once mighty ship. Inside, flickering blue lights cast faint shadows across the faces of Commander Kaya Saren and Lieutenant Commander Alex Rourke. Neither spoke for several minutes. There were no words left strong enough for what they had lost. Finally, Alex broke the silence. Pod systems are holding. Oxygen at 60%. Trajectory stable for now. Kaya didn't answer. She sat motionless, eyes on the wreckage through the viewport. The reflection of shattered hull fragments looked like falling stars in her violet eyes. All those lives, she whispered. The Resolute deserved a better end. It had one, Alex said softly. It went down fighting. That's more than most ships get. Her lips tightened. Fighting because of me. He turned toward her. No, fighting for you, for what you stood for. That made her glance at him, and for the first time since they'd met, Her expression softened completely. No command, no control, just exhaustion and quiet grief. The pod's control panel beeped, breaking the moment. Kaya leaned forward and tapped the sensor. A small pulse appeared on the holographic map. There, that signal again. Alex frowned. Same frequency as before? Yes. Solarian code. Ancient, but still functional. Her hands trembled slightly as she expanded the waveform. It's transmitting from the Vireth Nebula, less than 2 light days away. I thought you said Solaris was destroyed. It was, she said. But that code, it's from the old research network. My parents used it before the fall. It shouldn't exist anymore. Alex studied her profile as the light from the console played across her face. Then maybe not everything died with your world. Her eyes met his, a spark of hope cutting through the grief. If that signal is real, there might be survivors or something they left behind. Before he could respond, the pod jolted violently. Warning lights flared. Gravitational anomaly, Kaya shouted, gripping the controls. A residual field, probably from the reactor debris. The pod spun wildly. Alex reached across, bracing her shoulder, anchoring them both. The stars outside blurred into streaks of light until Kaya slammed a control sequence and forced manual stabilization. The spin slowed. Their breathing was ragged. Remind me to never let you drive again, Alex said, half laughing despite the adrenaline. Kaya gave him a look that was half fury, half amusement. I just saved us from becoming dust. Exactly, he said, still catching his breath. That's why you get to keep the job. For a moment, they both laughed, a strange, fragile sound amid the silence of space. It faded into something quieter, deeper. Kaya turned back to the signal on the screen. If there's even a chance someone survived. We have to go, Alex nodded. Then that's our heading. She hesitated, looking at him. You realize what that means. If we find what I think we might, the Alliance will want to claim it, and the Draconians will come again, harder this time. Then we'll be ready, he said simply. We've already beaten the odds once. Kaya tilted her head slightly. Humans and their impossible optimism. He smiled faintly. Maybe it's contagious. She stared at him for a heartbeat, then reached out and placed her hand over his. Then let it spread. They sat like that in the glow of the console, 2 survivors adrift in a dead sector but not alone anymore. The pod's engines groaned to life. The stars began to shift, sliding slowly toward a single distant point of light. The Solarian signal pulsed again, steadier now, as if it recognized them, as if it had been waiting all this time. Kaya looked out the viewport, her expression caught between fear and wonder. My people used to believe the stars could remember, she said quietly, that when a world died, its memory scattered into light. Maybe that's what this is, memory, calling home. Alex's voice was soft but steady. Then let's answer it. Outside, the black of space gave way to faint blue mist as the pod entered the outer rim of the Vireth Nebula. The sensor readings spiked, energy patterns that shouldn't have existed, and in the center of it all, a structure began to emerge, a massive ring half buried in cosmic dust, glowing faintly with alien light. Kaya's breath caught. That's not a ship, she whispered. It's a cradle. Alex narrowed his eyes. Or a weapon. The Solarian signal pulsed again, louder now, almost like a heartbeat. Kaya looked at him, eyes bright with both hope and fear. Whatever it is, it remembers me. The pod drifted toward the light. Behind them, the stars burned cold and distant. Ahead, the nebula shimmered like the ghost of a forgotten world. And somewhere in that swirling storm of color, a voice waited, ancient, familiar, and alive.